YouTube time. This is a Ford bed. I want you guys to look at that carnage. You know, they could make a little better product. Ford. Found on Road Dead, full of recalls, defects, and all kinds of fun and games. Like this member, I got to go find him a hose. So he's got some extra money, and he has a fuel tank strap over there. You see, this is why I hate Ford. Not one bolt came out. Not a one. Didn't even snap off. They'll break your socket before they'll come out of there. Ford. This is what people are talking about all over the internet. You know, where they're making these vehicles to fail or just too damn difficult to repair, which equates to, when I mean difficult, expensive. It's not like it can't be fixed. And then, if you're going to buy these, I make these. Because if you're going to buy that cheap Chinesium, if you thought that they were sleazy when you bought them before, we just got a set at my sister's shop. I'm allied with another local shop, which we'll do a video or something there. I've been meaning to get over the Fab Shop and show you my Wizard of Oz, Schmitty. I don't know if he'll agree to it. He's just kind of a personable guy. He's all to himself, and he's up in his years. I don't think he understands even that YouTube is a tool for guys like us. But it is. So, yesterday, we had to take that bed off that truck. Let me tell you, that bed is heavy as a battleship. It was just two old guys, and the guy that he brought along, he was about three of me put together, probably about a foot taller and a foot wider. Thank God that guy was here, and then we used an engine hoist, which I am actually trying to build one of those for my one tractor, to be able to put it on the front of the tractor, to be able, just a light duty lift. I'm probably going to make it out of a bottle jack, but again, it's time and money. But yesterday was a reminder when I had to run in the shop and suck my balls back up out of my socks with the shop vac. Yeah, the guy, see, we had to drive the truck out, so that meant there was only me and the other big strong guy holding that bed, while Ron, the other old guy that owns the truck, drove the truck out from under the bed as we held it. I said to the guy, get it on your shoulder, get it on your shoulder. And then he looks at me, he goes, you were turning colors of a stoplight. Yeah, that bed's pretty heavy for two guys. Thank God for the hoist that another guy wasn't holding that ass end of that bed, because it's heavy. Ford got to make a better product, okay? These things can be fixed. I'll send people, if you need, like, take measurements, or I might even have a book of measurements on some of these trucks, but it doesn't always fall true. You know, if you need me to make a piece or something out of this type of metal that doesn't rot, and it's very easy to weld it in. It does spatter a little bit because of the coating, and I don't suggest scuffing all the coating off just for the sake of a weld. Even a shitty weld will hold up fairly well as long as you're on good metal. But just try to turn your heat range to where you need to. And I do not endorse stick welding this. It is extremely difficult for the Loomis steel to stick weld that stuff. Don't ask me why, but a MIG has no problem with it, but it spatters a little bit, and that's why I was showing you that anti-spatter jelly in my other video. So this is not the first rodeo I've had like this. I'm at the layout stage. I have 2 points that I wanted to mention. Stock engine, loud muffler, nothing special. Okay, let's go back off. Let me mention, you see, I made that a full size, okay? But what I wanted to mention in this video is every one of these effing trucks, this is a different design, okay? I'm supposed to get this hose off of here, and with the bed with it anchored to, I mean, Ford, how the hell do you do that? You see where the other end of this hose goes? Here. So how do you get something like this apart? Not to mention this is on top of the frame, not below it. I mean, it's totally asinine. You can't reach through here. You have to pull the bed off to get to all this stuff. I don't understand Ford. They are designing these trucks to fail. Why would you put all this emission stuff and a sensor where you can't access it? That you got to take the whole. I mean, you got to just about destroy your bed. Yeah, it flunked the CAT scan. Right there's Orange Cat. Yeah. Yeah, I know. I teach people, and that Polaris almost killed me the other day. Here was the story. It came with a fuel leak, and he said to go over it. Has no brakes. Remember what I said my rule is? He's one of the only guys. I always tell people, don't send me stuff with no brakes and a dead battery. I don't think he understood that. You have to crank it and crank it a little bit to fill the fuel system before it'll start up, because it's got one of those big Bosch fuel filters on it, so it takes a little bit to crank it. I'm a little bit tired under the weather, and it's the weekend where I normally rest, but I want to get back on this man's the black Ford truck here. But I had to tell the story that because of the fuel leak, and that being EFI, in order to fuel the computer that nothing was wrong with it, somebody jury-rigged the throttle cable. Does this interest you? Because when that thing fired up, it sucked itself in reverse. I almost went over the handlebars. That's where the machine stopped, right where it's sitting over there. Right over there where it's sitting. Because it almost went into the side of my customer's Ford truck. So, again, I'm not going to make any exceptions to try to make friends anymore. And he was supposed to pick the machine up yesterday, but I know that we had weather incoming, and I didn't miss a thing. I got some of that tree that fell in that kid's truck. I got a lot of that cleaned up over there. But it's a lesson to you guys that are, you want to start doing this, maybe make money doing it. But when people are bringing you stuff that's already sabotaged, you got to watch, because that's what they did. Was they used some nye ties and a clip to have that throttle cable down to the throttle body, that it was just tweaked enough to keep the machine, and it purred. Now it runs a little on the rough side. That might smooth out. Who knows? But I'm not going to fool with it. He's going to pick it up the way it is, and if there's something else wrong with it, he's taking it elsewhere. Because I am not going to play with stuff that's almost going to half kill me. How did I get it stopped? I shut the key off. But it still had enough velocity the way it took off that it almost went into the side of that truck. And trying to steer and shut the key off when you're almost in that panic mode, it takes a little bit. But racing a stock car, you have those heart-stopping moments. You have to keep your cool. Flying a fighter plane, you got to keep your cool. Just because somebody flamed your ass, you still got to steer the thing down. And that's what I hate, is when something's out of control that it really doesn't have any control. Okay, but it was rigged for failure. Nobody warned me. He said he bought it used, but a lot of guys that don't have a lot of knowledge, they're embarrassed. They just want to take it to somebody. I'm working a lot. I get that here. And some of them, it's honesty. But other guys, they screwed something up to the point where it's dangerous when you start it up. They don't tell you everything. They just pretend like they don't know what the problem is or what it was. They don't tell you. So it ends up that you can get seriously hurt. Thanks for watching my videos, and take that as a warning, okay? If you guys are, in your home shop, in your home environment, we are most comfortable doing our work here. I am. I don't like being in a shop, and I don't like working for a ball buster. That's not my style. But if you're working here alone and you get seriously hurt, like I've done once or twice, it can have some repercussions, and you could die, because that machine could have very well have broke bones. That thing's a brute. That's a 700. That's no joke, that machine. And I felt it when it took off. That was like a little bit of a rocket. And it's just lucky I didn't fly over the handlebars. I probably wouldn't have got hurt too bad that way. But my shoulder's still killing me from the tractor incident. But I'm saying I probably wouldn't have got killed, but that thing probably would have been downtown somewhere, maybe out on the highway, or it probably would have went through somebody's house. That thing had power, um, a lot of power. Now I have a 500 cc, or I think it's they call it a 500 cc, and it's pretty controllable. Even if you throttle it out or whatever, if you want to pick the front wheels up a little bit, which I don't do anymore at my age. Just a warning, okay? You're working at home, you can still get seriously hurt just by somebody else's, well, you put the words to it, okay? Sometimes I get a little overboard. I try to convey my point that things can get dangerous. Thanks for watching my videos.